Yo, should we just call it Bruno was top and then leave? Should we do that? Cheers for tuning in, everybody. Hope everyone enjoyed that game. I mean, you probably didn't. Every time we have the opportunity to take a real run-up at top four, we fuck it up, don't we? Chelsea are shite. And we just seem intent on matching them for being shit. Don't even really know where to fully begin on that performance as a team. Seen a lot of people trying to blame Ollie for that. I don't know. What are you saying? How is this Ollie? Right, so what I saw a lot. I had a quick look at the stats before I started. 224 passes in the final third. That's on the players. There was absolute lack of movement across the forward three. There was an absolute lack of movement from Tony Marshall especially. He didn't even have a shot on target. Or actually didn't even have a shot on target or otherwise. Here we go. Three comments just completely sum up this fan base here. Brilliant. How can people defend Ollie? Ollie has no options to rotate. And how is it not Ollie? Look at what we had to bring on off the bench. Now, I would have started Greenwood, and I'd put Greenwood in my 11. I put Delo in my 11. And I think you can make a case for either of those to probably start this match. But let's be honest, you're not dealing with a fucking prime David Beckham and a Dwight York, are you, that you're just choosing not to fucking use? The substitutions was literally what we had. Mason Greenwood, not necessarily in the form of his life at the moment, someone learning his trade at the highest level. You've got Jesse Lingard, who is literally in the opposite form of his life. And who the fuck else do we bring on? Delo, who's... all right, he's got some attributes about him, but fucking hell. It's not like you was holding back a fucking vintage Marcelo from the right wing performance, is it? Jesus. I thought Bruno today elevated us and highlighted just how poor we've been. And Bruno had to play. I don't think you got the best out of Bruno playing him with Pereira, to be honest. Because Pereira is... has there ever been a more frustrating footballer? Ever. Because you know he's got the attributes to do essentially fucking anything with a football. And does essentially nothing with a football. So many times he got into good positions inside the box and just didn't deliver anything on the back end of them. Tony Marshall, I mean... to highlight exactly Tony Marshall, what pointed out Tony Marshall the most for me was when he took it off Mata's left foot as Mata was lining up to shoot. Tony Marshall was awful. And in how many minutes on the pitch, 4 minutes or something, Mason had managed to pull a shot off, which Tony hadn't managed to do in the entire game up to that point, like the 70th minute mark. I don't know. It almost feels to me as if we got our new shiny thing in Bruno and the entire rest of the team went, oh, he'll do it. And then none of them did it. It was, apart from Fred and Bruno, who had a good game. Nobody. Maybe Maguire, actually. Maguire was decent. And Haaland got 2 more goals today. Fucking hell. Smashing it. David says, Pereira on the pitch till the 72nd, James on till the 88th. Whose fucking fault is that? All right, David. Who do you bring on? Chong? Is Chong better than James? I mean, certainly not an obvious yes, is it? Is Chong better than Pereira? Again, certainly not an obvious yes. This is what you're dealing with. You're kicking off thinking that we've got fucking serious amount of world-class options on the bench, and we've got nothing of the sort. For me, tactically, Ollie did all right today. He set us up with some good options, and he changed a few things at half-time, putting different players in different positions to try and maximise what we could do as a team. Like I said, 224 passes in the final third. That's a serious amount of passes. In fact, let me just have a quick look. This is what I'm thinking. Well, I'm thinking it's probably one more than Wednesday night, but I don't have the stats for that. Right, we had 224 passes in their final third. Wolves only had 271 passes in the game. That shows you how much we dominated territory. So the manager set us up to be successful. That's what a manager has to do. He has to set a team up to be successful. Then it's on the players to convert his idea into reality by scoring some fucking goals. They didn't do that. They were shit. You know, we're talking like personal preference. I'd have played Greenwood, I'd have played Delo. All right, cool. But you're still lacking massive options. And if it was 0-0 after 60, 70 minutes and you've played those options from the start, then you're looking to the bench and going, I'm going to have to try and bring Chong on and hope he can do something when, well, previously he's never done anything in the first team. So what a mad Hail Mary that is. The overreactions with every fucking result is mad. To play Bruno that far deep is ridiculous. Not really. If you saw what was happening to him in the first half, go and rewatch the first half. There was so many times that Bruno was crowded out because of how dangerous he clearly was. He was getting marked out of the game. He was getting double marked when the ball was, at times it could have come back across the box for him. He was getting marked out of the match. United was struggling taking the ball from defence, as we always do, and moving it up through the thirds. In the second half, you pulled him a little bit further back and then allowed him to go forward. Look at where his touches still were. He was still, in the second half, having touches on the edge of the box. He was still trying to dictate play and make things happen. Playing someone in a six doesn't mean that they're playing the role Kante plays. You ever heard of a fella called Pirlo? You can dictate from there. You certainly can dictate there when you've got the ability that Bruno's got. James is shattered. He's being abused. But the same. What's your other option? You play Greenwood. Then he looks like he's shattered and being abused. I've seen a bit of a mixed bag on Bruno. I thought he was great. He was in with a shot of man of the match for United at least. What do you guys reckon? Good performance? Give us a thumbs up in the votes, or thumbs down if you didn't think it was a good performance from Bruno. Because like I said, I really did think it was a good performance from him. In terms of, I saw the sort of stuff that I wanted to see. I saw what his shooting was like, and I was pretty impressed with it. A couple of them on target, a couple of them just wide of the mark, but threatening. All of them threatening. Not the sort of shots that Fred and Andreas have been having where you go, oh, fucking hell, lads, what are you doing? But the sort of shots where you go, ooh, not bad. Not bad. I saw him dictating play from deep. There was at one point 2 minutes to go, something like that. Mason made a run. And he was the only one that made any sort of fucking run in behind for the entire fucking game. In the 88th minute. And Bruno was back in probably around the halfway line, something like that. And he saw it, wazzed it straight over the top for Greenwood. That's the sort of ball that United just haven't had anybody with the ability to play. Bruno's got that. I saw him crossing. I saw him occupying a little bit of space in that right-hand channel where, everything that United do and everything that the United midfield does, it drifts off to the left-hand side. And when it drifts off to the left-hand side, whoever, whether it was Valencia, Young, or currently Wan-Bissaka, in that right-hand spot they look isolated. I saw him occupying in the first half mainly that right-hand spot, and actually Wan-Bissaka looked half-decent, like he might actually do something with the ball in the first half. Second half, not so much. I think it's time to have a conversation about Tony Marshall. And I don't know if he's going through the same sort of phase we saw Marcus go through, where he just didn't look good under this system without Martial in the team. But the one thing that you get with Marcus that you just never got or never get with Tony Marshall is the work rate. Like, if Rashford's having a shit day in front of goal, and it happens, it's happened a few times this season, you know you're still going to have a guy that's going to graft for the team. He's going to run, and he's going to run, and he's going to run. Off the ball movement constantly, harassing defenders when they've got the ball. You get that. Just, that comes with it. Batteries included. You don't get that with Tony Marshall. When he's having a stinker, like, I'm not going to say he's like Messi because that'll get fucking taken right out of context. But there's an element of him being a luxury player. Now, when a luxury player's pulling up the goods for you, you back him all the way. And my old man used to always say, every team can have one dickhead. You upset the apple cart when you have 2, 3, 4, 5 dickheads in a team, and then you're just a team of fucking. That's a nightmare to control and deal with. But every team can have one dickhead, and that one dickhead just does his own thing. You know, that one dickhead in the early 90s might have been Cantona. He just gets treated different to everyone else. He does his own thing. That dickhead in the 2000s might have been Cristiano Ronaldo. That dickhead in the 2013 squad might have been Van Persie. It doesn't mean they're literally a dickhead. It just means that the whole squad sort of behaves like this, and then you have this guy that can do that. Tony Marshall, on the ball, at times, has got the ability to be this team's dickhead, and you almost forgive the shortcomings where maybe he doesn't work so hard. But when he's on his game, he'll kill a game for you. Well, he isn't killing games. His record this season's actually not that bad, but it feels like he's been shit. It's a pretty decent record this season that he's got. I'm going to come to the comments. Keep getting your comments in. I will be throwing them in. England Fan TV says Wan-Bissaka and Maguire were all right. Yeah, I thought Maguire was decent. Wan-Bissaka, off the ball, again, as always, tackling phenomenal. On the ball, a lot to be desired. Marshall didn't get the service, says RS. Well, I've discussed the lack of ability from the fullbacks. I'd always start Brandon over Luke Shaw. I don't know why that's even a discussion anymore. That, I think, was a mistake from the manager. Wan-Bissaka's generally not going to give you that much coming from that side, but Brandon will at least get into the box, and he'll cause problems, and he'll make things happen. But Marshall has to move. There's no fucking movement. As I was just literally trying to illustrate, Mason Greenwood made a run at the end. Bruno found him. Correct me if I'm wrong. When did Tony Marshall make a run that no one saw? When did he make a dart across the box that nobody picked up? What I saw from Tony Marshall was the ball coming into him failing to hold it up. I saw him taking a shot off Juan Mata that might have been a match-winning goal for us. I saw him not shooting, not moving, and not helping his teammates out. That's what I saw from Tony Marshall today. I didn't see Tony Marshall digging in for the rest of the team. I saw him playing like selfish. That's what I saw. You tell me where I'm wrong. Is any of that incorrect that I just said? Or did all of that stuff happen? That happened. You can say you didn't get the service. Yeah, fair one, right? That's a valid concern. And lately, that's been a concern for us, is that we don't put... and I highlighted this last week. Those first 5 goals that Haaland scored, you need to move it that way, I can't see it. Yeah, the camera's right there where you put that. With Haaland's first 5 goals, 4 of them have been one-touch finishes. Now, you don't get that at United. You don't get that anywhere at United. And even if he scored another 2 tonight, I'm sure probably at least one of them's a one-touch finish. I haven't seen them yet. You don't get that sort of thing at United. You have to work a little harder for it. Mo says work rate this season has been excellent. It's been better. I wouldn't say excellent. It's been better, and I would even say it's been good. But excellent, no. You might get 4 games out of him where he does it. But the next 3, he ain't doing it. The inconsistency is what's going to kill him. Jarvis Cocker, not sure it's the real one, says Tony's been shit lately. Why didn't Ollie bench him? Well, for who, mate? Who are you going to bench him for? This is the issue that we have with our squad, and that's why I'm pretty fucking happy we've signed a Gallo. I mean, I'm wearing a fucking Nigeria shirt underneath here. That's how happy I am that we've signed a Gallo. But who the fuck else are you going to play? You have to play him. And even when a Gallo gets here, you have to play him. Greenwood was one that we was excited for and happy that he's going to get minutes, but he was never going to play 40 fucking, or shouldn't play 40 fucking games this year. Shouldn't do. It shows where we're at. Mushfik says, the fact Tony isn't scoring enough has nothing to do with service. I saw Bruno tonight searching for a ball and searching for a run to make, but Tony doesn't do his team any favours. David O'Connor, I agree with Keane now. Marshall isn't good for United. Has Keane just been on telly? Dan James is a 30% win rate, 33% loss rate. Is that true? Dortmund have proper service, excellent ball movement. Haaland's excellent, but we wouldn't have get anywhere near the chances yet. He probably would have scored one, maybe two. I don't know. Jagraj says Ollie cannot coach. You know that, do you? Fucking clown. The same guy that just beat Pep for the first time, back-to-back games at the Etihad. That guy who did it with 10 men and a shoestring team. That guy can't coach. All right, so you taking over. Bruno loved bossing players around all games. Do you know what? Yes, this is something that we need to pick up, and if it's not in the 5 things we learned, it will be in the 5 things we learned. Bruno was, anytime the ball went out of play, and I don't know if this was picked up on TV, but anytime it went out of play, he was grabbing older people. First person I saw him grab hold of was Tony Marshall. Then he grabbed hold of James. Wan-Bissaka got it in the air a little bit. Pereira got it a little bit. But he was basically coaching the team on the pitch. Anytime someone was in possession, he was pointing where he wanted the ball. And if he wanted it... And there was times where you can tell that the players don't have the confidence in passing because previously giving it to Fred or to McTominay or Kim Pereira especially, they're losing it. But he was, taking up a space in between... you look at it, you go, that's a bit of a tight pass, but he was like, give me the ball. And I think he's just used to people being able to bang that ball into him, and then he'll turn and do something with him. There was loads of stuff that I thought was really impressive with Bruno's debut today, but you're right, leadership was one of those. Bossing people around, dictating stuff, bollocking people on the pitch. Fantastic. First game. Now, for those of you that have not seen the stuff that he said... basically he said all his old teammates can go fuck themselves if they're not willing to work as hard as he was working. But he put himself about. Defensively, he give a shit. Going forward, he give a shit. He had a little bit of an edge to him as well. I think we're going to love him. I think we're going to fucking fall in love with this guy. And I think it was a good debut. Listen, not crazy, but yeah. Right, before we get into the questions from the Patreon Mathis... we have got the Paddock FC shirt is now available, and the link is in the description. That's the shirt. It's made by Umbro. It's not your typical Sunday League sort of garment. There's a little bit higher quality to it, and we're doing a pre-order for it. The pre-order is going to be up for the whole of February, so delivery will probably be about 2 weeks, 10 business days or something following February. So if you want one of those, I don't know how many orders we're going to do. It won't just be permanently available. So if you want one, the link for it is in the description. And go and get yourself one. It's small to XXL, I think, is the sizes that's on order for it. And if you're interested in and come getting in the mix with Stretford Paddock FC, while you're on that link, I think you can register interest to come and play. But if you're in the Manchester area, training is at the Pits every Wednesday, 5-6. And we'll be doing a few open training sessions still for maybe the next month before we start taking friendlies, and we'll whittle the squad down a little bit with those. So if you're interested, like I said, shirts in there, and come and join in the mix as well. Jay says, buy Traore, sell James. I like Traore, me. I do like Traore. He's a fucking absolute handful, isn't it? And he wears the shortest shorts that he can find, which I've got time for. Ash, what are Marshall FC seeing that I'm not? I don't know. I think they just took up their position, and that's that. What do I think of Bruno? Says Frodiola. I said I was impressed with different aspects of his game. There's a real touch of class about him, I thought. A real touch of class about him. And I can't wait to see what he's like when he settles in. One of the lads behind us was like, have you seen how calm he is on the ball in the final third? Noticeable. Will Marshall lose his spot before the end of the season? Depends how Igalo does, doesn't it, really? Let's be honest. But if Igalo takes the number 9 spot and Marcus comes back and hits the format he was in previously, where does he go? Just another Milo says, why didn't anyone pass to Bruno? What? I don't know. Ninpo, why are we so bad against Wolves? Do we just cancel each other out? Hope we don't get them in 2 legs of the Europa League. Fucking hell, can you imagine? I think the back 3 is pretty effective for them, and then they sit a midfield 4 on that as well. And on the counter, they're dangerous with Jimenez and Traore and Jota. Neves and Moutinho are good midfielders, and that, you know, when I looked at that lineup today, and I'm looking down, I think it's dotted to the fullback and Traore. You go, look at the fucking specimen of these two. Jose Mourinho will be touching himself looking at those two on this side of the pitch. Absolute fucking monsters. Who will line up against them? Oh, Luke Shaw and Dan James. Yeah, that'll be fine, I'm sure. Fucking hell. Inferno, what happened with the walkout? I don't know. We're just talking about it in there, like, you know, there was no organisation to the walkout. There was a fucking right load of people on Twitter was talking about it. First, it was touted as a 58th minute warm-up, and people were saying, oh, that's disrespectful to the babes, and I didn't agree or disagree. I was just kind of like, well, we've never really done anything on 58th minute, so is it? I don't really know if it is. And then it was suggested do it on a 68th minute instead, and then Musk sent out an email to everybody on Thursday saying, don't do the walkout on the 58th, do a minute's applause on the 58th for the babes, and then if you want to, walk out on the 68th minute. But the way it was worded, it was almost like a question, so it wasn't really a statement from them. It was kind of like, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? When I got in the ground, I said to the lads around us, like, what are we doing? Are we going out or what? And they was like, yeah, and I said, well, yeah, if everyone's doing it, let's fucking do it. You know, it's not my protest to lead. So I wasn't going to fucking be like, right, everyone, out we go. Everyone would be like, shut me dick, keep watching the game. And about 20 people moved from what I could see. And I was like looking at the exits across the whole ground. Didn't really help that the game was on an absolute knife edge, did it, at the time? I think if it was 2-0 down, everyone probably would have done it. But I don't know. I don't know if there'll be another one like that. Whatever it needs to be a lot more organised. Did this game feel more like a step in the right direction or some more of the same? I think there's positives to take out of this. We are fucking destitute in terms of players at the moment. I think I think you get some players back fit. I think McTominay will be a massive help. I think that will allow the likes of Bruno and possibly even Fred to move further up. And we've got to start looking at a 4-3-3. We really do. How depressed am I? I'm all right, actually, to be honest. I'll get a chicken in a minute. Recorator. Woodward was a no-show today. Would have been good to have the walkout on 68. They don't actually do it. I don't think with there being a threat of a walkout that he would have ever come, because they'd have just zoomed in on all of their faces. From United's point of view, from the club's point of view, it was never going to be a good idea for them to be sitting there pretending that's not happening in the ground. So it's easier for them to just not turn up, and then it eliminates that, you know, really embarrassing shot from their point of view on the TV. I was saying to my dad, imagine on the 68th minute, Fergie's like, I'm just going to go for a piss. And the cameras get him walking out. But yeah, I mean, people giving everyone shit online for not fucking going. Look, it wasn't a fucking big organised protest, clearly, because like 20 people fucking walked out. Do I envision a time where United will ever capitalise on Chelsea dropping points? Not this fucking season. We get one player who can pass and suddenly we try to play a tiki-taka game. That's probably also because we played Fred, Pereira and Mata in the same team. But, I mean, the options are limited, aren't they? And if you don't play James and you play Greenwood, essentially that's like fucking 5 number 10s on the pitch, isn't it? Lacking a bit of teeth, and it's clear to see why we want someone like an Ighalo. Seemed very much out of sync, but decent defensively. Maybe this break comes at a good time for us. Perry, time for 4-3-3 with Matic in the 6. Bruno needs more freedom. I would very much like that. How good was Bruno? Yeah, feeling it. Surely Ollie is waiting too late for subs. Maybe. I think that's a valid criticism, but again, you know, it's not like he's fucking sitting there going, batter shoot, I've got to warm up, son. What would Marshall's possession map look like in this match? Would he go back to the left once Ighalo is in this team? Be interesting to find out. Be interesting if he plays 2 up front, won't it? Why was Bruno playing deeper than Andreas and Fred? Would he not be better suited for... I think it's valid to play him there. Like, I think he's an 8, so he's kind of in between the 2 places that he sort of lined up today, didn't he? Even with the limitation of the squad, would it be fair to say that Ollie's selection has been by far the worst aspect of his management at United? It is baffling why the likes of Shaw and Brandon are the way they are, and you know, we don't know what the script is with Mason. Did he have a knock the other night? Is he protecting that? You know, we've seen what's gone on. I think it is a fair criticism. I don't know if it's by far the worst aspect of him. I think the substitutions possibly one, or even possibly persisting with something maybe a little bit like where we all go, mate, he's shit, what are you doing? Get rid. One of Luke Shaw's better games today, says Father Romeo Sensini. Defensively, do you know what? No, still, it was ordinary. Ordinary. Safe. Far too many times he's in the final third, and I wonder how many of them passes are Luke Shaw's out of that 224, just going back to the inside again. Nambi, don't I feel Marshall is looking poor for the exact same reasons Rashford was? When Marshall creates space, no one runs into it by Rashford, and he has no one creating space for him by Rashford this whole season. Yeah, I think that's sort of fair, but he isn't running off the ball. He's very, very static. Just go back and try and just watch all of Marshall's involvements and tell me at what point he was just running just to create space, even if it was for somebody else. He wasn't running around. And yes, the others were poor, and I think we've mentioned that. Pereira plays for himself. James, I think, is extremely limited when it's a team that's going to sit back. That's the game that maybe you want to play somebody else, but then I can sort of see why you play James in this circumstance. Like someone else said earlier, maybe it's just a case of that these teams just mesh a bit too similar to each other and cancel each other out. It's no coincidence how close all of these fucking matches have been with them, I don't think. Would I start Igalo versus Chelsea? Yeah, if he's fit. Fucking right I would, yeah. How clear is it we need Rashford back and a new right winger? We carry very little threat in the final third, especially when Marshall is never in the box. Yeah, there was at one time... I really think Mason is a number 9 in the future, but the aspects of his game, the actual build-up play of it, he's such a good technical footballer that you sort of allow him to come and just do stuff in between the lines. And at one point... he came in inside off the right a little bit, and I was like, there you go get in the box. And then the play that he passed it to was Tony Marshall on the same line as him, sort of like where the number 8 wants to be, and you're like, lads, you're the fucking strikers in this team. You need to be in the box. We've got players, Mata, Bruno, they can actually fucking dictate play really well. Go get in the fucking box. Because the thing that people miss about what Marcus does is because Marcus is he makes like 20 sprints a game, just fucking run all over the place. And he's constantly trying to move, and when he's making those movements, he's dragging defenders out, and defenders have to look at him, and that creates space because the defence just drops back, especially to deal with his pace. It just drops back and gives him a yard, so they're not just going to get annihilated for pace. Would I be happy with Grealish, Bruno, and Frez in midfield 3? I think Grealish will probably always be in the 10 in that situation, but against the team that's going to sit back, I think you could do that. Against Liverpool, City, Chelsea, probably needs a bit more steel in there than that, I think. It's a little bit wishy-washy, that. Ollie would know, or should know better than anyone, the impact a good substitution can have on a game, so why does he always make really late subs? We always seem to fall flat midway through the second half, so surely earlier subs, again, we've answered this already, I don't think he's got the options. Reckon Tony will leave if Igalo starts ahead of him in the Premier League. Doesn't seem the type of person to take being dropped well. Maybe. Do I think the coaching is good enough? I understand that you need better players, but our coaching as a whole looks clueless. Don't you think we'd be doing better the current team with a better manager and coaching staff? Where's your evidence of that, though? Where is your evidence of anything of that? Pep Guardiola's supposedly the best fucking coach in the world. Why has he signed 31 fucking players? Shouldn't he just coach the players he's got? If he was that good a coach. Why did he buy a goalkeeper? Why did he have England's number 1 goalkeeper, buy a goalkeeper, not think he was good enough and buy another goalkeeper? Why didn't he just teach Joao how to play out the back if he was a good coach? Do you know what I mean? Why is these different standards of people? Hey, Jurgen Klopp's a good coach. Why did he need to buy fucking Van Dijk? Why didn't he just make one of his other players better? This is obviously a ridiculous fucking scenario. You have to buy better players. I'm just saying. Do I think Marshall's miss against Liverpool has affected him, or is it primarily missing Rashford? Well, he's missed against City as well. Both of them could have been match winners. Igalo to become a cult hero. Do you know what? Yeah, I've got a feeling he could be. Do I think we'll see Rashford, Pogba, Scott all fit together before the end of the season? Yeah, I think so. I think Marcus is going to be April, I think. I think he's targeting the first week of April. Thought Shaw played well defensively and handled Traore well, but limited our attacking threat on the left. Thoughts on maybe bringing in Brandon when Traore did go off to drive down the left and into the box? Yeah, totally. I mean, Brandon can deal with Traore defensively too, for my mind. Loads of these saying the same thing. This is the only time in 25 years of me when I'm happy to say we have 2 weeks off. Yeah, fucking hell. I need the break. Do I have any insight yet on whether we do attacking breakdown practice? No, I still have to find that out. I'm going to be working on that. Does Delors have a future on the right-hand side for United? I don't think so. He'd probably play this season, but yeah, going forward, I'm not sure. Hope Ollie not sacked if he doesn't finish top 4. If he gets top 4 with his squad, it's a fucking miracle, isn't it? Am I up for getting pissed because we're shit? Yeah. I'm driving today, so not today. Can Marshall in the false 9 role ever be able to work this role with Pereira and the 3 behind him? No. Marshall can't play the false 9. He's not got the work rate for the false 9. I'm not even sure he's got that hold-up play ability for the first 9. For a false 9. First 9? False 9. What's the first 9? That's Sons of Anarchy. Never mind. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there because I'm fucking well tired and I'm pissed off. But here's the shirt from Stretford Paddock FC. Link for that is in the description. If you fancy one, go get it. It's on pre-order for a month. I don't know how many we'll do. There you go. But thank you guys for tuning in. Listen, make sure to subscribe. 5 Things We Learned will be out in the morning, and then we've got all sorts of shit coming out on Stretford Paddock next week as we take full advantage of it being a break and getting a weekend off. What are you doing? Tell me in the comments, what are you doing with your weekend off? You don't do anything sexy? See you in a bit.